Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Once again, I'm here with you all, chapter number 12, System of Representation. And all about this chapter is like the first one is Election System in India. First part, the post system, FPTP. Methods of proportional representation, merits and demerits of proportional representation, reservation of constituencies by joint electorates, right to vote and the right to contest on election, composition of election commission, and powers and functions of the election commission, independence of the election commission, measures to ensure free and fair elections, and electoral reform. Before we start the chapter, let's come back to once again the concept of what is democracy. A system in which the government of a country is elected by the people. A country that has the system is called democratic country. And let's say example is India. Here the democracy is running from the time of independence. We people are choosing our own representatives, and this is called people's government. It refers to two forms of government. The most common form is the people have the authority to choose their governing legislatures, and the original form in which the people have the authority to decide the legislation. And the decision on who is considered part of the people and how authority is shared among or delegated by the people have changed over time and at different speeds and the different countries, but they have included more and more of the inhabitants of all countries. Cornerstones of democracy include freedom, assembly, speech, inclusiveness, and of equality, membership, consent voicing, and right to life and minority rights. Now, election system in India. India has a symmetrical federal government and which elected official in the federal, state, and local level. And at the national level, the head of the government is Prime Minister, and who is elected as the member of Lok Sabha also, and lower house of Parliament of India, and all members of Lok Sabha except two who can be nominated by President of India are directly elected through a general election which takes place every 5 years. Now, let us go for the electoral system. Article 80 of Constitution lays down the maximum strength of Rajya Sabha as 250, out of which 12 members are nominated by the President, as we have done in the earlier chapters also. And the 245 out of 233 are representatives of states and union territories, and of Delhi and Puducherry, and 12 are nominated by President. And why was the first past post system, electoral system, was chosen for India? After the independence, the makers of our constitution adopted the first past, the post system, while selecting the election process in India. This is because for socio-economic and political factors. Socio-economic and political factors. A first past post or FPTP system, formerly called single member plurality voting or SMP electoral system. Voters cast their vote for a candidate of their choice, and the candidate who receives the most votes win, and irrespective of vote share. Now, what exactly the several factors we do face of this system are? Like lack of politicization, then multi-party system, building of democracy, and that too secular democracy. A major chunk of Indian people did not know the basic understanding of politics, as they were limited to their villages and local towns. And according to Smith, there are three conditions of politicization. First, knowledge. Second, liberty of electing among alternatives. And third, capacity to execute. And that is why education is considered as the first condition of politicization. And above all, Indian people lacked in education. And as a result, were unfamiliar and national issues, they were limited in their local demands. And in such a situation, first past the post system was an ideal solution to them through which they could select their representatives. Then India was multi-party system also. and every party has right to participate in the election process. All the parties have the right to make the people familiar with their policies, with the strategies, and they also have the right to demand votes for them. And each condition other than the system may bring complexity in election process. So we have selected the system in order to avoid complexity or the conflicts. Then building of secular democracy also, to establish secularism, because we cannot give status to any religion. So it was an objective for India. So the first past and post system was adopted to achieve it, and through the system, candidates and people come closer. But what were the effects of this system? Effects were also there. Wide gap between votes polled and seats won. The main problem with the Indian election is that often the elected candidates and polls less number of votes that the candidates or opposition parties. In the like manner, there is a vast difference between the votes polled by the different political parties and the seats won by them. For example, in 1952, Congress polled 45% votes in the House of the People, but it granted 75% seats in it. And in the like manner, in 77, Congress polled 34% votes in House of People's election and gained only 28% seats, which was a drastic gap. Then next is use of money power. What is this use of money power? The importance of money power in Indian election is borne out by the fact that the political parties keep on collecting funds throughout the year, and in the elections provide tickets to the rich people so that they can collect the funds as well. So it is this reason that the limit of money to be spent on election has been fixed so that display of wealth is not made in the election. And if a candidate sends more than the stipulated amount on his election, then this election is invalidated. Then misuse of position. Another problem, the people, those who are in Indian election, they misuse their position, their office, the administration under them, the ministers. And during election, the cabinet does not resign, and therefore the minister uses the administration completely in order to make his party victorious. And the administration adopts different methods to order to make voters to vote in favor of the ruling party. Then voters are not vigilant. They are not vigilant at all. The analysis of the general election held so far amply proved that the general electorate is not vigilant towards elections. A great number of voters do not participate in elections, and many of voters who cast their votes do not know the name of the candidate even. Let's take an example. This apathy on the part of electorate is an ill omen for the Indian democracy. Like Australia, New Zealand, Belgium, these countries, voting be made compulsory for illiteracy, poverty, and social backwardness be removed, because these drawbacks prevent political awakening in the Indian voters towards voting, or to entire election process is so revamped that only men of character became eligible to contest elections. Now, how does it function in India? How it works? What does it do? We've already told you that India adopted this system because there was no any other system to adopt, because the awareness of elections was too less in India. The ratio of uneducated and educated people were too less, and this was the easiest way to make them understand the concept of democracy. Now, methods of proportional representation. Proportional representation is a system used to elect a country's government, and this means the results of an election decide directly how many seats each party has got. and each elected representative will be a member of or another party. If another party has an overall majority, then it forms the government. Now, what are the methods of proportional representation? The very minorities are of various kinds in political, racial, linguistic, and communal, and many methods have been proposed to give proportional representation to each political party in parliament so that no one should feel as a minority or no inferior complex should be there. And the entire country is treated as a single constituency. Under this system, a voter is required to vote, and individual candidates parties, and each party wins the number of seats in proportion to the votes cast for the party, and this system is prevalent in Israel or the Netherlands. And the list system, when the country is divided into separate constituencies, under the system the parties draw up the list of their candidates, and but for one of the parties, each party wins the number of seats in proportion to the votes cast for the party, and this system is prevalent in Israel and Netherlands. And a cumulative vote system. The cumulative vote system is under this system. A voter has many votes, and as there are candidates to be elected, and may distribute them as he likes. And this method in use in Illinois, that means one of the 50 states of the USA, the voter may plump his votes on one candidate or distribute them among two or three candidates. And in this way, the minority parties can be concentrating their votes in favor of the candidate hope to secure at one seat in the legislature. Then single transferable vote system, and that is India. This system is followed for election of the President of India, the Vice President of India, the members of Rajya Sabha, and the member of State Legislative Council. This is the proportional representation in Israel. Final results of elections held in January 2013 for the 19th NIST. And how does the proportional representation work in Rajya Sabha elections? Like if we talk about this Rajya Sabha elections, Constitution of India provides for single transferable vote system to be followed for Rajya Sabha elections, and every state has a specific quota of seats in Rajya Sabha, and the members are elected by the Constitution of India provides for single transferable vote system to be followed for Rajya Sabha, and every state has a specific quota of seats in the Rajya Sabha, and the members are elected by the representative state legislative assemblies, and the voters of MLAs and in the state. Every voter is required to rank candidate according to her preference, and there is a formula you could see: total votes upon number of seats plus 1 is equals to quota. And thus 5 Rajya Sabha members have to be elected by 90 MLAs in Haryana, and the quota would be 16 votes.